Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Makeup or Breakup, our favorite show of the week, favorite podcast that you can watch, you can listen to it, you can even share it. How much fun is that, Lou?
It's going to be a lot of fun. It's always
That's
a lot of
right.
fun. Yeah.
That's right. I always say, who doesn't want to take a podcast with love tips and send it to all your friends and family on Facebook, all those friends that you're so close and, buying gifts for, wink, wink, right?
Oh, that'd be a fun gift, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Yep. Well, the thing is, actually, I couldn't think of a better gift than to give someone a gift certificate for my services with your friend or family member or that coworker that keeps dating, terrible people, making terrible choices. And my personal favorite in the dating world, because we're going to talk about dating for a few weeks. It's kind of I think I'm going to make it the June theme.
Yes.
We're going to focus on dating because right now with the weather being better and some of the COVID bans being lifted and restrictions being lifted, people that are unhappily married are thinking of lots of ways to get out of the house and not be stuck with their spouse. But dating people, they get out of the house and they're still by themselves going to Starbucks.
Yeah.
So they don't have anything to get excited about. And their friends that are couples just sometimes it makes them feel sad or jealous or, just like, I can't believe here I am at a certain age and I don't have what these people have. So we're going to talk about dating and my date coaching. And specifically this week, we're going to be remembering what we've been talking about for the last couple of weeks, which is dating isn't necessarily the main goal of finding a husband or wife. If you do that, you will set yourself up and you will fall short because you will be super stressed out that you're not meeting that perfect fit.
Right.
Or you're not getting a ring, or you're spending a year with someone who, to be honest, Lou, if they were working with me, I probably would have said way sooner than a year, probably a month into it, I would have said, it's pruning. It's pruning.
Yeah.
And so the beauty of working with a date coach is that you have very hard, honest advice, and you're really agreeing to take your hands off the wheel. And when my clients are working with me for several months, they're in the groove of the whole theory of it's a numbers game. And instead of looking at it as your glass half empty, which is, oh my gosh, I'm not meeting enough people, or this is taking too long, whatever the negatives are, they make your glass half empty.
Right.
And it's really important to embrace the process, to know that it's going to take a long time, to not give it a time frame like, well, I better be engaged or in a relationship in 6 months, because chances, there's a chance that's not going to happen. There's no percentage that says if you do this really well, you're going to be in a relationship in 2 months.
Yeah. I mean, people put a timeline on if I'm not engaged in 6 months, it's a failure.
Yep.
It's ridiculous.
Yep. They put a timeline on it. They do, or they say, I want to be in a relationship like in 60 days.
It doesn't work that way. It's not the way any of this works. Yeah.
So it doesn't work well that way. Right now, I'm working with a family who's really concerned about their daughter because their daughter just started dating someone and she's not even divorced yet. She's going through the process. She just started dating someone and she's inviting this guy from New Jersey to come up here to the Boston area to meet the family and to meet her kids, because she has every other weekend, she has her kids. And she wants this potential guy in her life to meet her kids because he's like, oh, I love kids. I want to meet your kids. And it's way too soon.
Yeah. She's not even divorced yet.
And then she's still going through the court process.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think in her mind, she's thinking, well, the divorce legal process will be over sooner than later, sometime in the next couple of months. And I don't want to be starting from square one in August with dating. And so her family has hired me to try to coach them on how to deal with her because, first of all, they don't want to meet this new guy.
No.
And they don't think that it's right for the kids. And so what I'm doing is I'm saying, well, no offense, but we need to create boundaries I'm teaching you how to create boundaries with your daughter where you say, we don't agree. We're not going along with this. And we are absolutely not having that person over to our house. And we're also going to be talking to your soon-to-be ex-husband because he and his attorney may have something to say about this. and
Oh.
this may affect your this may affect your parenting time.
Wow.
But they care enough about their kids. So it was a friend of this family that contacted me a couple of months ago. They care enough about their kids to be able to put boundaries in place and to say your dating is inappropriate and it's dangerous for these kids. I mean, you go to that parenting class that you have to take in Massachusetts, and they're going to tell you,
Right.
do not be exposing your kids to new dates for a really long time, and not until it's a definite relationship. So that would mean if you and I started dating today and I had kids, my kids probably wouldn't meet you for 9 months.
Yeah. How long has she been seeing this guy?
Oh, a month and a half.
Oh, no, we can't
Actually,
do that.
Maybe 2 months. Yeah.
And you seem somewhat certain that the timeline puts the divorce in August.
Yep. Like the final, because the legal stuff is still going on.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
As a beginning, you don't do any of this until the divorce happens.
Right.
That's so confusing to the kids. For one thing, it's not a situation you should be putting them in. They're
Right.
already tender about this. They're already in the learning stages of how to divide and manage their affections for both of their parents being separated. They've got a lot on their plate right now. You don't throw another person into this mix.
Right. But what I love about it is that this friend knows the family and was so concerned that she reached out to me and said, I don't know what to say, but these friends of mine have a daughter who's just acting inappropriately with dating, and they're just beside themselves because no matter what they do, it doesn't work.
I've got two concerns, and I'm guessing we're going to talk about red flags and things like that today. Yeah. There are two red flags for me already, just hearing the story from the outside, and maybe I'm being too quick to judge.
No, bring it on.
But the two red flags are, she sees the kids every other week, so she doesn't have primary custody.
Right.
Is that true? Yeah,
they have sort of shared custody.
Shared custody. So it's not like he's the custodial parent and she gets visitation. It's shared custody.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that's a little better. I was thinking that he was the primary custodian.
It's shared, but actually, when school's in session, they're with her, so she does have more of the physical time.
Because I'm wondering what it takes in Massachusetts for the father to be have primary custody. But okay, so it's more of a shared custody situation.
Dads can definitely get more custody, and he could definitely use this. And honestly, we're going to him with it.
Yeah, but the reason that if a dad were to get more custody, that would be a red flag about the woman to me, because there's stuff going. Because the courts do lean towards the mother still. Mm-hmm. They're going towards shared custody and things like that, and it's much more liberal in that term. But they do lean towards the mother more, so the mother is going to have to do something to shift the primary custody to the husband. But anyway, the other one, why is the guy agreeing to this?
That's exactly my question. And I plan to reach out to the guy.
Oh, wow.
As their coach, I am going to step in. I'm going to be this somewhat neutral outsider who says, do you even know what you're doing? Like, he's a dad also. So, I mean, yes, he knows parenting, but I'm like, do you even see what's wrong with this? Like, yeah. And it's my understanding that he's been single for several years.
Yeah. Okay. So he's
ready to date. She's not in any position to be dating.
That's fine. But he also understands the struggle of the first few months of the divorce, or certainly the process of the divorce.
Yep.
And being a father, if he's a father, he should understand what the kids are going, let alone what she's going through right now. And, you come up and visit her, sure. Stay in a hotel. Go have dinners if you want to do that. That's fine. You don't involve the kids in this right now. The kids are already being pulled apart here, and they're having to deal with a complete new set of circumstances, and introducing a third party, a literal stranger, into this in such a huge role is going to be difficult for them. How old are the kids?
They're young. They're like elementary school.
Oh God, yeah, no, it's tough. Yeah, not wise, I don't think, but.
Well, no, especially because at that age, they will either hold it in or act out in different ways, but they're not as mature. So they're not like a teenager who could verbalize it and slam a door or say, Dad, what's wrong with you? Or Mom, I'm not going. Or like they can't determine that they're not going to go to this other person's apartment or anything, because a young kid doesn't have a say in it, and they don't really know how to put their finger on it either.
Call me a pessimist, but there are two outcomes here. The kids really like the guy, and then they break up in 6 months.
Yep.
Or the
That's
kids,
that thing.
or the kids don't like the guy because they're in this emotional mess right now, and they're kind of scarred up, and again divided between the two parents who are separate now and probably competitive to some extent. So they're in the middle of this battle zone right now, and they don't like the guy, and that just makes the whole situation that much more different. There is no win with the kids. No. Because we don't know how strong this relationship is. They've only known each other a couple of months.
Yeah. Right. And the thing is, if someone is that quick to want you to meet that wants you to meet their family and their kids, like, it is a red flag. It's not even yellow.
Yeah.
Like, don't be flattered by it. Cause I have a feeling the guy is flattered that, oh my gosh, she's so crazy about me that she wants me to meet her kids. That's how most people look at it, which is kind of sad. They don't know any better. Don't look at it that way. It's not a good thing for these kids. Like you said, they get attached to this guy.
Yeah.
And then God forbid he breaks up with Jane or whatever her name is. I'm not going to use her real name.
Yep.
We'll just call her Jane. Bob and Jane. I mean,
having gone through the process, and you've gone through the process, having gone through the process, I remember thinking, I don't want to know anybody who's been divorced in the last year. I mean,
I know.
It's
right. That's true.
Let alone not divorced, let alone meet my kids in a month. I mean, God, it's just too much.
Yeah. So, Divorce 101, and we certainly teach this in the divorce care support group that I've been running since 2000.
By the way, can I ask you another question?
Go for it.
Where is the pressure coming from to meet the kids? Is it coming from her, or is it coming from the boyfriend?
It's her, because this is her this is the way she operates. She does this. She even did it with the soon-to-be ex-husband.
Yeah, no.
And they were really upset about that. And then that just was a train that went out of the gates, left the train station, and without anybody's approval or feeling good about this thing, she married the guy.
Yeah.
She did things like, well, you know what? If you guys aren't supporting me and you're so upset, then one of the ways I'm going to get around it is I'm going to pay for the whole wedding.
Yeah.
And I'll invite all my friends and my family. And basically, you guys are going to look like jerks because my own family members aren't going to be at my wedding. So she's abusing the power and knowledge that these people actually deep down, they care about her. Sadly, they don't have good family boundaries. And so they all broke down and went.
Yeah.
They didn't want to go to the wedding.
Well, we're back to what we talk about all the time, and everybody can pre-roll their eyes now. We're back to working on yourself, because right now her happiness is dependent on the outcome of this relationship and the relationship with the kids. She wants to move forward as fast as possible because she doesn't feel any self-worth, and her only worth would be made up in getting together with a guy right away, because that'll show her husband, right? That'll show everybody I'm worthwhile. I get into a relationship right away. Everything's going great. It only took me a couple months. She's dependent on that outcome for her happiness, and that's the exact wrong place to be in.
Right. Exactly. And so talking about in general, people that are,
by the way, the young kids, take a little time, enjoy them. Just take a little time, take a little respite from the divorce and the breaking up of the relationship. Enjoy your kids, build a life. The guy will still be there. If you guys are this serious right now, he's going to wait.
Yeah.
And like I said, have him come up and visit, stay in a hotel, and go out to dinner with him.
So part of the problem is clearly she's got an attachment disorder, which is need a guy.
Yep.
I mean, that's really what we're talking about, right?
Yes. Yep.
And
I have no worth if I'm not in a relationship.
It's not a good place. And unfortunately, this guy is kind of falling into this, into this fly trap. It's like, I think he's pretty much got one foot on the sticky paper, and he's looking at it as he's been single for several years. And so he's ready to date and meet Mrs. Right. The problem is she ain't it.
Well,
she's Mrs. Dysfunctional. You know?
But there's a fine line between, I'm trying to see it from the guy's standpoint. There's a fine line between being passionate and excited and confident and being dysfunctional, as you put it. There's a very fine line, and he's seeing one side of the line, and I think we're seeing the other side of the line.
Right. Yes. So in my opinion, what you're probably alluding to is this sexual attraction and chemistry. I think that they've got that.
Well, yeah. Plus, he's seeing a woman who's so excited about having him in her life that she's ready to move now. She can't wait. She's just excited and just moving on. And he's seeing that as a positive thing. And again, there's another side to that.
Right. Well, and the other sad part is what he doesn't know is this is her pattern, and it doesn't go well when things start to not go well. This relationship, and especially if it ends up in a marriage, it's going to go really badly because this woman, has that tendency to be sort of like, well, this is going nowhere.
Yeah.
And basically, instead of working on the relationships in her past, she would, eventually these things would get into like the messy breakup. But now you've got kids who just went through it. They're going through it. Actually, it's not even over. They're going through this divorce, and they're going to go through this breakup now. I mean, even if these two only date for 3 months, they're going to be spending all the weekends that she has the kids. I can see it. This is the pattern. And it's almost pathetic because what it really comes down to is, how you said, enjoy your kids.
Yep.
What this is coming down to is a parent that is so immature and dysfunctional that she can't handle the fact that every other weekend she's got the kids by herself.
The responsibility of it. Yeah.
So she's looking for, Mr. Doubtfire. She's looking for a guy that'll come in and wants to,
there you go,
with them for the weekend, do the barbecue, Mm-hmm.
By the way, who's moving? Her or him?
Him.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Right. Which means this family that's hired me has to put up with all that, because now it's like, whenever they want to see their daughter and the grandkids, they're going to have to see this guy, because the talk is that he's moving to their South Shore place.
Away from his kids.
Away from his kids in New Jersey.
Yeah. All happening too cavalierly for my tastes, all of it.
Yeah.
How do you decide in a month to move away from your kids?
Right.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, it's not funny, but what's going to happen, I guarantee you, is when this guy's like ex-wife gets wind of it, she's going to be like, you're hardly ever going to get these kids up to Boston. I'm telling you that right now. Yeah. You're going to have to fight me in court. We're going to have to go back to court and fight for this, because I see this as very irresponsible.
Yep.
Even if they ended up getting married, people don't realize this. They just make these big assumptions. There's a boatload of laws about state lines. And I've had clients who were divorced, and they wanted to move one town over to put them into southern New Hampshire. So like I had a client a couple of years ago that wanted to move to Nashua.
Yep.
But the couple had lived in like the Westford, Chelmsford area.
Yep.
And the husband.
A difference of states, but a difference of basically 5 miles.
5 miles. And the ex-husband, just to be a jerk, because he's a jerk, he didn't have to agree to that. And he said to her, you can move to Nashua, but you ain't taking the kids up there, because you're crossing state lines. And part of the reasoning on...
and again, it's the next town over. It is a state line, but it's the next town over, yeah.
Right. And so part of the reasoning so I'm going to play devil's advocate. So I figured out, and it made sense to me only because it's like there was some contention there. They weren't like the perfect amicable split couple.
Right.
And, when you have an attorney that's smart, the attorney will say, you can go along with that. And this can be waived if you guys can figure out a way, like, like you're going to meet halfway to exchange the kids or whatever. However, if you have a problem, you live in Massachusetts, you're going to create a lawsuit, go back to, family law court, right?
Yep.
You're going to file here, but they're going to, if they have an issue, they're going to file in New Hampshire. Okay. So there's the example. Okay. So now with this other couple, this woman lives here on the South Shore. if this guy moves up from New Jersey, the wife could say no, because if we have some problems, you now live on the South Shore of Massachusetts, you're going to be able to file a lawsuit in Massachusetts.
Right.
I'm going to have to go to Massachusetts and probably hire an attorney that's barred in Massachusetts to defend myself. And I don't want to do that. And I have a great attorney down here. And so here's an example. I have a great attorney down here in New Jersey. So if I were the paralegal and, divorce coach for this ex-wife in New Jersey, I would say, don't do it.
Yep.
Because if there are any lawsuits or anything like that, you can file down here. That's fine. But if he comes up with something on his own with his new illustrious, wonderful girlfriend, Mrs. Wright, number 20 or whatever she is, you're going to have to go to Massachusetts. And you're not going to be able to use your attorney who you really like, someone that you trust, that understands your case inside and out, that did a really good job for you, actually, 10 years ago, whatever. His kids are teenagers, but still they're verbal teenagers. They're not happy about this at all.
Yeah. No, I would think not. By the way, as part of an agreement, if you were going to go to do a waiver about these state line issues, could part of the waiver be anything that any dispute is going to be adjudicated in one state or the other?
No.
Can't do that.
No.
Yeah. What a mess.
You have to file in the state that you live in.
Yep.
Yeah. Now it's different with, for example, people don't understand this, but so in personal injury law, there are 3 places you can file: the state you live in, the state the accident happened in, or, a state that you think maybe the business is in.
Okay.
So
yep.
There are several ways to cut the mustard. You have options with, with for example, personal law injury. So if you hit my car and I have a lot of back injury, but you live in New Hampshire, if I think New Hampshire has a better court system for my type of law, which is personal injury, if the judges favor more, bigger dollar amounts up in New Hampshire, I'm going to have my attorney will file up in New Hampshire. But with this, it's not. This with family law, it's I've got an issue. It's about, me, my payments, or my children. I live in Massachusetts. I'm filing in Massachusetts. But, this ex-wife, she lives in New Jersey. Now, right now, it wouldn't be as much of a hassle in the sense that he could be by Zoom, but that's going to be going away at some point.
Yep.
So I don't know. Probably nobody's going to give any of them this advice, but I am, because I already know about this. That's why people pay me a couple of bucks, which ain't so much compared to all the legal fees you could have with attorneys. This are the things that I know that people don't know.
Let me give everybody out of the Commonwealth some unsolicited, unprofessional advice. Stay out of Massachusetts courts. I don't know how it is in New Jersey, but basically stay out of Massachusetts courts as much as you can.
Well, when it comes to divorce, though, family law is one of the top systems is in Massachusetts.
Oh, good. Yeah. All right.
New Hampshire is not good. It's really difficult. They make people go through mediation, which never works. It just drags out the process.
Yeah.
It's court-appointed mediation, and you have to have so many hours of it. And, we all know that mediation hardly ever works. All it does is it stokes the fire every time these people have to get together.
Right.
So I always tell people, well, the positive here is that you live in Massachusetts and not New Hampshire.
Well, New Hampshire's trying to run a cost-efficient court system is basically what they're doing. So,
yeah. So anyway, but all that to say, you're not ready to date until you're ready to be alone. And you've been divorced or broken up with a girlfriend or a boyfriend for, honestly, 6 to 9 months minimal. And if you have kids, you should wait even longer.
Yeah.
And if nothing else, don't be introducing your new dates to anybody. Even if you've been dating someone for let's just be crazy, 3 or 4 months, it's still too soon.
Yeah. You don't know anything in 3 months. You don't know anything about the person. You really don't.
You don't. And we all know that the honeymoon phase, I've done the research anyway. So you and I know the honeymoon phase can last upwards of 18 months. So you could potentially still be in some la la land for 1.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the stuff may not hit the rubber may not hit the road in a bumpy way for 6 months, 12 months.
Yeah.
And then what happens is people have choices. They either bring it up, they confront the issues, or they stuff it down because they don't want to be alone, or they know what the response is going to be and they don't want that response. Right? But today we're going to talk about dating and the fact that what I do is pretty much online dating. So when I'm helping clients with my date coaching, it's a combination of one-to-one coaching like this, like you and I would be doing a phone call or a Zoom call, Lou, or,
Mm-hmm.
Or it can be in person. I've been meeting people on my back patio all along.
Yep.
Teaching people about the process, what's our plan? What's the game plan? How long does it take? Also, I talk about what to say, what not to say. When you get to the point of when you're emailing back and forth with someone, how long do you do that? When do you get on the phone? How long is your phone call? How many phone calls do you have? And when do you say, hey, let's get together for coffee? And I would like to say, for the record, that part of the problem is sometimes in general, like I'm not saying, I would even say like not necessarily men or women, but people tend to drag that process of emailing back and forth for way too long. And my feeling is you get a lot from talking on the phone with someone. You can hear their inflection. You can see it's one thing come on. That's why like chat rooms and stuff are so popular because people are like this, nobody sees the face of the person behind the typing.
Right.
But when you put somebody on the phone, that's when you can really assess. If I say to you, Lou, hey, so, tell me a little bit about your family. And you're like, yeah, maybe I'll save that for a little bit later. That's a red flag.
Yeah.
Because you could have said something. You could have said, I grew up, I'm making this up. I grew up in Boston and I had a big Italian family. And all I could say is my family likes to cook. And honestly, that's a hook for me. Like, it doesn't mean doesn't mean I love the cooking. It doesn't mean I like a big family, but it says to me, you've got a big family and you just shared something with me. It doesn't matter the size of the family. You shared something. Tell me about your family. Oh, well, every family's got one nut. So get this. I've got a sister who, she loves flying and she loves skydiving. I'm making this up.
Yep.
And it's a little nutty, but to be honest, she's like the happiest sibling I have. She designs really fun parachutes. I just made that up.
Sure.
You're not giving me a ton of information about your family, but you're telling me something about your family. Or you could say, my favorite part about my family was, my Uncle Bob, or my Uncle Lou, who I was named after. This guy, you couldn't beat him in gin rummy if your life depended on it, and to this day, my whole family is obsessed with card games on vacations, like that kind of thing, right?
Yeah. Yep.
If you ask me, so Judith, tell me a little bit about your family. You're not grilling me. You're just asking it in a normal way. If I sit there and I'm like, that's too long. That's 3 seconds of silence, which, by the way, my husband would be laughing, going, well, that's a first. I did it today, everybody. I'm going to have to send them the link to the podcast for today. But if they hesitate like that, there's two things. They're in a genuine moment of trying to think of something to tell you, or there's a problem. If they can't think of anything.
Yeah.
It's not,
Well, they can't think of anything positive.
Right. That's what I mean. Or they can't think of anything. Or I say to you,
listen, I didn't have the greatest relationship with my family, but in a casual conversation, tell me about your family. I could come up with a few. I could come up with a few things to say.
Right.
And that wouldn't reveal all the trouble there was in the family. Yeah. Well, I grew up Irish and Italian. There was some struggles.
That struggle is pretty real when you have that combination going.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got the aggressives and then you have the passive aggressives. It's like everybody's calling everybody out,
Even at that, if that might be the first response about my family, it's like, well, Irish and Italian, we had our challenges,
Right.
Interesting, lots of bold personalities and, often some conflict.
Right. So I give my clients questions that they need to be asking because sometimes the other person assumes for whatever reason that my client is the one that's supposed to take the lead in the phone call. I say, take the lead. It doesn't matter. You got to get this conversation going, but even if you take the lead and the person still isn't responding much. So like I might say to you, Lou, so like, just out of curiosity, how long have you been on Match.com? And then you're like, well, you should have some idea. It shouldn't take you 20 minutes and then go, I don't know. So if, say you said like, I don't know, I'd be like, all right, well, like, have you been on a lot of dates? Just be like, then you might be like, not that many. Like already I'm bored by you because you haven't said anything interesting.
Right.
So then I might say to you, well, tell me about one of your dates that you really enjoyed, either the person or like, what did you like about what you did? And then you might be like, I don't know. I can't really think of one. I'm like, that's when I tell people, I'm like, shut it down. You're not obligated to talk to somebody for 35 minutes.
Right.
That can be a 5-minute phone call. If somebody can't engage and they're like, my pet peeve is when someone's like if I said, hey, Lou, I saw on your profile that you like to skydive and, and that you're a pilot and you really like those small planes and stuff like I'll just give them because you want to talk about some of their profile. And I say to you, so, just curious, like whatever made you get into that? Because I'm always curious about what makes somebody want to skydive or what makes somebody want to travel around Paris for a week. I don't know. I'm like, so like, I mean, that's so interesting on your, or scuba diving, like what made you get into that? And then if you go, I don't know. I guess I just wanted to try it. I'd be like, oh my God, like this is a dud. I need to get off the phone. Because if you have that on your profile, that should be something that you enjoy and you're talking and you're willing to talk about it.
Right.
Well, like what were some of the things that you had on your profile? I know you may not remember because you haven't been up there for a few years, but like, did you put like, what kind of interests would you have put on there? Do you think?
No, I tried to stay away for pictures, for example, and even in the profile, I tried to stay away from showing too much of too much put into one particular thing.
Yeah.
And in fact, the other way around, I remember saying in my profile, I go, look, I like sports and, but I'm not changing my plans around to watch a ball game. As maybe the Patriots on Sunday, I like to watch those games, but it doesn't run my life, that type of thing, because people tend to think of sports guys as being obsessed with it.
Yep, they usually are.
Yeah, I like it. I enjoy it. And, maybe I try to see the Patriots on Sunday, but other than that, it's not that big a deal to me.
What else would you put on your profile for things that you like to do or interests, whatever?
Yeah, it has been a while, but
yeah.
Well, and I tried to point out the fact that being divorced, I was amicable with my ex, and kids were still a big part of my life, and I'm very involved with them, and that's an important thing to me. And I try to put in a little bit. I think my work's interesting, so I tried to put in a little bit about my work and things and what I like about my work, as opposed to work in general, because people start thinking, don't want people to think that you're bragging about the job or anything, but just like, I like my work because I never know what's going to happen on a day-to-day basis. I never know what I'm going to be dealing with. Like I didn't know today I'd be talking about my old Match profile.
I know. Yeah, that's right. That's why he likes working with Judith on Tuesdays.
Yeah, that's right.
So if I were talking to you on the phone and I was looking at your profile, that might be something that I bring up. I'd be like, hey, so it says on here that you like sports, but like it doesn't rule your life. But so what kind of sports do you like?
Yeah, well, I'm a baseball guy. I like baseball. I actually work in baseball, collect some checks for it. I'm an analyst, so I do some work in Sirius and things like that. I've been a Patriots fan all my life, though. I was a season ticket holder for about 15 years when I was younger. It's just something I really enjoy. I've always been a Patriots fan, and of course, with the success over the last 20 years, that's been a lot of fun. So, yeah, I try to make a little room for the Patriots on Sunday. But other than that, I can watch a ball game and not watch a ball game. But I just enjoy sports. Played them when I was a kid. So,
yeah. So that's so interesting, because one of my favorite things, which has always been a treat, over the last decade or so, because it's so expensive. But every now and then, it's just really fun to go in person to a Red Sox game. Do you ever do that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, I collect some checks and do it for that, but I also go on my own a couple times a year. But what I really like is, if you haven't tried minor league games, you should go to a minor league game, because that's a blast. It's a smaller situation. Tickets are $12, something like that. You can get a nice meal. The parking isn't that difficult. You can get in and out of the ballpark and just enjoy it. I like the minor league games because it's a much more comfortable experience. Although I'll go to Fenway a couple times a year, sure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So with the minor leagues, like I think I've heard of like there's one in like Pawtucket or what's that one?
They've moved. So there was one in Pawtucket, but they've moved to Worcester. That team is in Worcester now. And in Manchester, New Hampshire, there's the Fisher Cats, which are a Blue Jays affiliate. The Red Sox affiliate is in Portland. That's a great ballpark and a great town. That's always a great trip. Go up to Portland. Portland, Maine, yeah.
Massachusetts then.
No. Nope. But that's a nice trip up to Portland. It's only an hour, an hour and 15 minutes, something like that. Get a nice meal, go to the ballpark. It's fun.
So is it a smaller place than like the major league? Like it's smaller than like Yankee Stadium or?
Oh yeah. Much smaller.
That's part of it, right?
Yeah, much smaller, like 8, 10, 12, depending on what the size of the league is. But that's a plus for me because parking isn't an issue. Getting in and out of the ballpark isn't an issue. You go to Fenway, you spend so much money, you sit till the bitter end. If I go to a minor league game and it's the 7th inning and the weather's not great or I'm ready to go home, pick up and go home.
Right. Because you only spent $12 and even parking is cheaper probably at these other venues. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Wow. So who's your favorite?
Manchester's fun because there's a restaurant I really love up there that's a walking distance from the ballpark. And plus there's a restaurant in the ballpark, actually. There's a Sam Adams Bar and Grill. So you can sit there and just have a good time. Is
it in the city or is it on the outside of on the outskirts kind of?
It's in downtown Manchester on the river. It's nice. It's a fairly new ballpark. It's very nice.
But the parking is good too?
Oh yeah. Lots of free parking actually.
Wow, because it's just such a smaller city compared to like New York City or Boston that.
Yeah, and down the street from the ballpark are a couple old mills, they're now big business offices and stuff like that, but nobody's there at night. So you just park in there. The team runs shuttles out to there so you can get on a shuttle bus and go back to the ballpark if you don't want to walk it, but it's a comfortable walk. So.
Wow, that's so cool. Oh. So see, we just spent 5 or 6 minutes talking about something that you're really interested in, and I learned a ton about that.
Yep.
Like even some things that I didn't even know. I knew that you work with obviously baseball and things like that, but I just learned things that I didn't know. But if I'm trying to keep the conversation going and you've got something in your profile, I expect you to be able to talk about it and not be like, gee, I don't know. Like,
plus good interview technique. Like, for example, I said that there's a restaurant I really love, walking distance from the ballpark. Oh, what do you like about that restaurant? What do you like in restaurants in general? And then that starts a whole conversation that maybe you can have you may not have common ground on baseball or minor league baseball, but what restaurants you like or don't like, you have some common ground on that and you can have an exchange.
Right. And what we're really doing is we're trying to have some fun, but we're trying to learn how to engage with each other. And it's okay to disengage. So say we didn't have a very good conversation and it was like pulling teeth. I wasn't really answering your questions and whatever you asked me, I'm like, I don't know. Like my favorite I don't know story is when I met my my last husband's family down in the Cape. I was sitting in the living room with his mom and one of the brothers that lived there. And I said to her, I didn't know what to say because she was so quiet. Nobody was talking. And I'm like, this is so awkward. So I just felt obligated to get the conversation going. I don't know. So I'm like, hey, so Helen, what's the story behind like all the names of your kids?
Yeah.
And like, she slowly looked at me, but not mad or anything, just this blank stare. Like, is that the right, like she had this look like,
yeah,
I didn't understand the question. Almost like, did you finish your question?
Yeah.
So, all right, let me put a semicolon in there and I'll ask a little more. I noticed, I'm just curious, like why everybody's name begins with a J.
Yeah.
Like, what's up with that? Why'd you do that? And she looked at me for like a good solid 30, 45 seconds with this blank stare. And then she's like, her hands folded on her lap. And she's like, it's like deadpan. Like,
yeah.
She's just like, I don't know. And I'm like, seriously? Because like all your kids starting with a J is a thing. Like it's definitely a thing. It's like, it's not a not thing. It's a thing.
Yeah. She didn't want to engage.
She didn't get it. I don't even know. But I sat there and I should have listened to my gut more. I made it a flashing yellow flag, but it really was a flashing red flag because it was a spoiler alert to what was to come.
Yeah.
It was just the appetizer of the fun entrees that were about to be served to me and my son. And I should have known better, but I just, I don't know. I kept thinking to myself, well, he says he never sees his family, so who cares?
It's funny. You and I have had this conversation for 2 or 3 shows now, and I think this is an interesting thing to point out of how much perspective plays into this, because again, I wasn't super close with my family.
Yeah.
So when I'm not even particularly interested in meeting, if I were dating somebody, I'd meet their family, of course, and go through that, but it's not something that would be necessary for me. And my relationship, and of course, I'm older too. It's not like I'm in my 20s or 30s, meeting the parents. I'm going to have to deal with them. Yeah. It's not like I'm going to have to deal with their parents for 30 years, but the whole family thing isn't important to me, other than it tells a little bit about who the person is. Right?
It does.
But for example, you could look at me and you could say, all right, didn't have the greatest relationship with the family. And I would say, I don't think that's a knock on me,
No, but if you don't relate to your family of origin and you don't have those ties, your second sentence to me should be, no, I've kind of made my own family. I have a couple of really close friends. I'm like their uncle to their kids. I do my holidays with this core group of people.
Yep.
When, if I land in an emergency room, it's one of those few people that I call.
Yep.
And my life is full. And so you talk about that as opposed to just like, I'm not really that close to my family. And then
and I've actually had that conversation. I was going to point it out because what I did was I built my family, with my ex-wife and my kids around the opposite of what I wanted my family to be. I thought of all the things that were missing in my family and wanted them to be part of this family. So it's a lot closer. It's a lot more traditional family, lasted through the divorce to a large extent, actually, too. It's just like I built the family that I wanted as opposed to being attached to the family that I had.
Right. Yeah. So when we are dating online, once you get past the phone call, you determine, with my clients, I make them, together, we run the show. We don't wait for someone else to call or whatever. Once we're at that point, now you're going to decide, call again or not, when there's been one phone call.
Yeah.
But before you even get to the point of getting onto a phone call and writing, like 20 times to each other, the first thing that I'm doing with my clients is teaching them, I create your profile, I pick the pictures for you, and I'm going to show you how I reach out to men and women. And when they write back to us, what am I going to say? Us, because I pretend I'm them, I'm ghostwriting. So, if you were my client, I'd be like, hey, Lou, I'm going to write to, just get ready for this, because I'm going to write to 35 women tonight who I find in a larger radius than you're used to going to. So I usually go pretty wide. What I want you to pay attention to is I don't want you to go in and go, those first 2 women are not my type. That's not the point. There was something I saw in them, and I'm not teaching you that yet. I'm just telling you, the main thing I'm doing here is do not go in and look at the 35 people I picked, Lou. Yep. What you're going to do is look at what I wrote. See what I wrote to these people. That's what I'm teaching you. I'm teaching you what to say to these people. How quickly do you do it? And how are you getting them to write back? And then I'm also going to have you look at, your little in folder. Who wrote in? What did they say back if it was because of one that I wrote to? And what are the new women saying who saw your picture in your profile that I gloriously created for you? And then you're going to emulate what I wrote out to women. You're going to write that kind of a thing to those women that wrote into you.
All right. So give me some insight, because I imagine if you've done both sides of this, where you've worked with a male client, worked with a female client, I imagine, or maybe not, you can tell me if I'm wrong, that the way you approach these things is vastly different from one side than the other. For example, like we've talked about this before, women get a lot of response. They get a lot of response. So you have to find a way to pique their interest. You have to find a way for them to pull you out and respond to you, because they're sifting through a lot of response. Guys, on the other hand, a woman writes to a guy and it's like, all bets are off. The guy's like in most of and I'm speaking in generalities, of course, but guys aren't getting a lot of response. They're not getting a lot of women writing to them. So I'm guessing it's a different procedure on depending on which side of the relationship that you're on.
Well, yeah. So my male clients are getting a lot of traction because I know what to say to these women out on the internet to engage them and make them want to write back. Because it's all about, you're casting the lines, right? You have it's like you have 35 fishing poles lined up on the pier. Send them out, send them out, send them out. So the first thing that I'm looking at, because this is what everybody does, is I'm looking at the picture.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not reading their profile first. I'm going to look at the pictures. And so why don't we do some screen sharing right now? Because it's the picture that says to me, will I reach out to this guy for my client or not? Okay. Right. So this guy, go through a couple of his pictures. That's not a bad picture, but we don't see a lot because he has sunglasses on and he's not looking at the camera.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you click to another one of his pictures? He had 8 pictures.
By the way, he took that picture too. So he took that picture looking away. So he put some consideration into that picture. Yeah.
Here, because I'm not that familiar with what I just saw, I have to go back and forth to the first picture to see which one is he. I think he's the one on the right.
That was my first thought. That was funny too, because
right. But I shouldn't have to go back to the first picture. Let's go to the next one.
All right.
Okay. So that one's not bad. The one there. Okay. Yep. This one, it's a little weird. It looks like somebody's sitting in a chair, taking a picture, looking up. I don't like the picture. If I were his coach, I'd say no. Okay. Where's the next one? You know what? That's not a bad one because it kind of says to me, you're into something. It looks like you're in a dune buggy or something. That kind of, okay. So, but that, that wouldn't be your first one, but that's not bad. Where's the next one? More sunglasses. That one's kind of interesting because it says to me he's a welder.
So he's working on a car. He's a mechanic.
Yeah, it makes me think he might be a mechanic. I think it's kind of interesting. I think there might be 1 or 2 more pictures. Okay.
The beer at the bar.
The beer at the bar picture. Yeah. It's just never really a great thing. And again, I don't know this guy well enough. I think he's the guy on the left, but I don't know. And I think he's having a bromance.
He's the guy on the right.
Yeah.
He's the guy on the right. Yeah.
Okay, but see, I can't tell. I'm not. I think there's another. Is there another picture?
No, that's the end of it.
All right. So the first picture, he's not looking at the camera. We can't see his eyes. In none of these pictures do we just really see his face and his eyes. We're just that one. I mean, it's fun because it kind of shows that he does something on his weekend. But again, he's got sunglasses on. That one is, that one would be okay if he enlarged it and he cropped it from the chest up.
Yep, exactly.
Somebody standing there with their hands in their pocket. This one's okay, but crop your friend out. I don't have to see you with your bromances at Red Sox games and beer matches. Really.
Yep.
That one, if he had done it a second time without the sunglasses, that would have been a great picture.
Yep.
That's a selfie. But clearly he thinks he's cooler than he's Joe McCool in his sunglasses.
Well, I don't know if they think they are. I don't think men think they are. They try to present that they are.
No, people think that they're cooler looking with their sunglasses. It's not. People want to see your eyes and your face. So go to the next. You can find the next guy.
Yeah.
So I'd do a lot with his pictures. But that being said, I'd probably still write to him. Okay.
Yep.
This one, do you see the difference other than the kid's hand in the background? It's kind of funny. Funny. He's not smiling, but he's got a little bit of a smile because he feels uncomfortable giving a great big cheesy smile.
Right.
So he's definitely dating material. Let's see the next picture. That's a good picture. This one, no, he doesn't need it. Go back to the first one.
It's the same picture, except with a baseball hat.
Yeah. It's the same day, basically. So now go back. Let's go to the second one. Get rid of that. This one, it's terrible. I don't even know what's going on there, except it looks like he has a stomach ache, and I don't know. He probably ate the wrong kind of food.
He's a baseball umpire. He's reinforcing. He's baseball dad. That's his member. That's his username, I think. Yeah, baseball dad.
But it's a terrible picture. It's too far away, and he's not even looking good in the picture. It's he looks like he has a stomach cramp. Okay, next picture.
Plus, we get it.
Right.
You like baseball.
Plus, we get it. This one, it's possible, but honestly, it's not that great. I would just go with the first picture. The one I like the best is the first picture. I would say, you know what? Until we get some better pictures, we're only going to use that. See the little smirk?
Yep.
And it's funny with the kid's hand because I would. The first thing I would say to that guy, which is probably what I did do for my client, is, "Hey, high five back at you." Something funny about his picture.
Yep.
Go to another. You want to go to the next one? See what else we have in here.
Yeah, give me a
Pictures
second.
count, you guys. You know, some people say, oh, people are so judgmental, like looks aren't everything. I'm like, they're not everything, but it's the first thing people see.
Is that true with women as well?
Yeah.
Very
Yep.
true with men. Absolutely true with men. But I was wondering if it was true with women as well.
Yep. Yep. I treat my clients equally. You need to put your best foot forward, and it's probably a foot you don't already even own. This one, it's kind of dorky, but he's looking at the camera. He wears glasses. He didn't try to take them off and pretend he's something else. It's not a bad picture. It's borderline like, you know, passport photo, but who cares? You know,
It's kind of passport photo. Yes.
yeah, it looks like his passport photo, but you know what? He's got a little smirk. He just doesn't feel comfortable with the cheesy smile. I like it. I think it's great. Does he have another? I think that one's great. He's given the peace sign, which I do to everybody that stands next to me in every single picture I do.
It's not a peace sign. That's rabbit ears. He's putting rabbit ears on the person.
I know, but it's like rabbit ears. I know. I call it a peace sign, but it's a rabbit ears.
Yeah.
And I like that he's smiling, and I like that he didn't include the woman below him. He's basically just I think he's cropped it because most pictures include the person that your hand is behind. He was smart. I like the picture a lot.
Wait a second. Okay. I was wondering about the beard thing.
No, it's good. Is there a third picture? All right.
Yep.
You know what? That's kind of fun. I don't know what the hell they're doing. Oh, they're giving away turkeys probably for like a charity.
Looks like it. Yeah.
I like the picture. I like the picture a lot. I think that's him in the front, most likely front left, right?
No, right in the center.
Where?
Right here. That's him right there.
No, that's what I mean. Like, right, front to the left. Yeah. Okay. So I like that picture because it says to me, you know, he works for a company or a charity that likes to give back. Either that or his whole family went shopping so they could have a lot of turkeys for Thanksgiving.
Oh, they like turkey bowling. I don't know which.
They like turkey bowling. Yeah. This one, you know, it's not great, but it's kind of fun. It kind of looks like, I don't even know what it is. I'm not sure. I think that they must have been at some kind of I don't know. It's not bad. Is there another one?
He goes out and he does things anyway.
Like he does things.
Yeah.
So again, he's doing things. It's got this, you know, this funny, you know, oversized chair. We know who he is now, and he's in the front. We don't have to sit there and go, my God, he keeps sending pictures of groups and he's always like in the back. Right. You know, I like his pictures. I think his pictures are great. So those get the A+ from Coach Judith.
All right. You did a good job.
Next week,
I want to do Cody. Hang on. Let me get the link here and put it on. I want to do Cody. I want to hear your reaction to this.
There's some cookie ones out there.
There we go. Here's Cody.
N-O.
Cody with the shirtless pic.
Yeah. And first of all, you know what they say, if it looks too good to be true, the phishing that goes on these websites, they're going to take like, you know, fake people are going to use, you know, the scammers are going to take pictures that they think are really going to wow a woman. It would be something like this, not what the last guy had. So here you've got two of the same picture. It's just one with the bathing suit, one without. And that one where he's wearing a shirt with maybe a different bathing suit. Doesn't tell me anything. I already know that he likes the water. Now he's got sunglasses on. This picture would go.
He's showing the guns too. He's big into.
He's trying to show the guns. Is that it for his pictures? All right. So this one, because I haven't been looking closely, I'm assuming he's the one on the left.
Yes.
Yeah. But again, where I'm sitting with my glasses off, they look kind of similar in some respects. I don't want to have to like look really closely at a picture and say, okay, pretty sure he's the one on the left. What is this picture doing other than now he has a shirt on and not a tank top?
People like me. People like me. I'm close to somebody.
It's not a bad picture, but it doesn't do anything. So none of his pictures would be good except this one cropped.
At least he's got a shirt on and it's not obvious he's showing his physique.
Right. So in this one, I would crop it, and I might take the first one where he's at the ocean and crop it. So not that one. That's terrible. He's squinting. Let me see the first one. That's the second one. Where's the first? That one.
It's the same picture. It's just cropped differently for the profile.
Right. So I wouldn't use any of those because I think shirtless is just tacky and it's unnecessary. And it's like, you know, save it for the beach. Like, you know what? You don't want to give away all the goods and all the information. Like, let somebody be wowed when you take your shirt off and you go, oh my God, I didn't know you looked like that. Save it when you go to Plum Island for a beach day.
Plus, it's the cover photo, by the way. It's not one of 3 photos. It's the cover. It's the first thing. It's the people. It's the thing that women will see on a search within a group of guys, stuff like that. It's the first thing they're going to see about it.
Yeah. Don't forget, I'm working with clients that want to find Mr. and Mrs. Right. I'm working with clients that want serious dating. They want to find the guy that isn't a guy that isn't super serious all the time, but they're serious about how they present themselves. They're taking the dating website seriously. Someone that puts up, boy babe shots is not taking it seriously. He's portraying to me as a psychoanalyst over here, as a dating coach with my limited training in psychoanalysis. I mean, there's a guy that thinks way too much of himself. The other guy had pictures of a turkey giveaway. Clearly, this guy isn't showing anything interesting except I like to go to pools and I like to go to the ocean. Well, all right. You've got the mind of a pea. All right, this guy's just friggin' scary. I mean, that's kind of a scary shot.
Again, the cover shot, by the way. This is the cover shot. This
is the first picture people are going to see. You're not smiling. You've got a baseball cap on, but you're indoors. So, that's dumbass.
It's a selfie in a bathroom, by the way.
And it's a selfie probably in a bathroom.
Oh, it's in a bathroom. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's a bathroom. That's a shower on the right.
Yeah.
I don't want to see bathroom pictures ever. I don't care if you're dressed or not. That's stupid. And I don't want to see your phone. Oh my God, this is terrible.
Selfie in a gym. This is in a gym.
Okay, and he's wearing, he's not up close, and he's wearing a baseball cap again. So I still don't really get a good picture of what he looks like. That one's a little scary, but if that's your look, I would put that as maybe the second picture. But he needs a picture where he's happier looking.
Yep.
Did you notice in all these pictures? That's hilarious. I would put that maybe as the second picture. That's hilarious. Because what that says is the guy has a sense of humor.
Yep.
He gets dressed up for some reason at Christmas time, whether it's his family or, it's definitely, he looks like he could be in a house, but no, it looks like an office chair. Does he have any more pictures? Yep. That one?
Back to the hat.
Back to the hat. And
Back in the bathroom.
And I don't want to see your bathroom, and I don't want to see your cell phone. These are terrible. This one's not bad, but it's like, you've got sunglasses on, you've got a baseball cap, you've got no shirt on. If you were smiling, I would say that could stay.
Yep. But I might crop it.
You could crop it.
I'd crop the nipples out, to be honest.
You could crop it. Yeah. Yeah. You could crop it.
Yeah.
Does he have another one, or are we?
No, that's it. But he had, if you go through the photos, you understand he's well built. I mean, you don't, the shirtless shot isn't necessary with a really good physique, right?
Right. Right.
And like I said, save a little something.
Right. Exactly. So I'm going to give you the flip side of a male client that I had last year. So he likes to go boating. He has a motorboat. It's not like a big fancy thing, but he likes boating.
Yep.
So I said, great. We're going to take some shots of you, standing at the wheel. We're going to get the ocean behind you, but you're going to put a shirt on. And he's like, what? I'm like, put a shirt on. Because most women, the right women who want to get somebody that's serious about their photos, is not going to be impressed by your shirtless photos.
Right.
So we had a picture of him at the boat, but it was close up. So it was like a headshot, from the waist up, and we could see the wheel, and you could see the ocean behind him. You could see part of the boat. All right. So now we know we've got a great headshot. He doesn't wear sunglasses in it. He's like, what? I'm like, get rid of the sunglasses. And he's like, oh my God. And he thought I was bossy girl. I'm like, well, you hired me for this.
Yep.
You can wear your sunglasses in photo number 3 if it's really got to be. Then he had a really good professional shot on LinkedIn. So I said, we're going to grab that. And he goes, well, but that's stiff. That's me looking kind of corporate. I'm like, people want to see all sides of you.
Yeah. Give him one of those. There's nothing wrong with a professional shot and a headshot as
right.
part of the mix. Sure.
Right. Right. And then we also had a picture of him with his 3 sisters. Because, he goes on his family has a place up in Maine and sometimes they go up there. I'm like, now, what do I like about this? What I like about this is you're not going to let people think that you're hanging out with 3 babes. You're going to put a caption on here that says, hanging out with my sisters. I love family time, or something like that. Okay. So you can put captions on your photos, and that's what you're going to do. You have the option, use it.
Yeah.
The people I'm looking at online for my clients, if they've got captions on their photos, they are like so close to having me send them an email just for the sake of saying, like, sometimes I write and I go, I absolutely love the pictures that you chose for your profile. Spot on. You know, and thank you for not wearing sunglasses in all your pictures. And they love that. And that makes that guy want to write back to me, who they think is, you know, Meredith, but that's not who I am.
I don't always think men and women have the same visual thing, but I will tell you about the eyes. The eyes are important, and there's nothing worse than a profile with all sunglasses. People want to see your eyes. They have to see your eyes. Most of your looks are based on the eyes. It's like that's just not a complete enough picture if you never get to see a person's eyes. Right.
You know, people think they look cooler in their, you know, fancy schmancy Ray-Bans, and it's like, you know what? You can wear them on your date if it's sunny out. I don't care. But you're certainly not going to keep them on during the whole date, because that's like dumb, you know?
Yeah.
But what we're really talking about, everybody, is you don't know what you don't know. If you're floundering to try to find Mr. and Mrs. Right, I can tell you right now, part of it, 90% of it is your profile. It's not that everybody out there is a loser, which I'm sick and tired of hearing. That is absolutely not true. I mean, I have some people that are finding somebody that's pretty darn good after 2 or 3 months.
Yep.
Because it's a numbers game and they don't give up. And they also have me looking for, you know, culling through all these different things, and I'm not settling. So you don't settle, you know, you just keep going, keep going. So that's what I do. We're going to talk more about date coaching. Next week, we're going to look at some women's pictures. So look out, ladies.
Oh, yeah. I'm looking forward.
Your picture off the internet.
I'm looking forward to this.
Yep. So look out. Everybody better spruce up their profiles. So take it easy. Be well, be healthy, and we look forward to seeing everybody next week.
Sing it a song. Don't mess around. You just got